Very Good Music, a VGM podcast, is now proudly associated with RPGera.com, where you can find reviews, videos, podcasts, and more covering all your pop culture needs. Brian, the founder and CEO of RPG Era, has been featured on the show before and also hosts his own VGM podcast, VG Mania, with his friend Frank. Are you a fan of wrestling? Check out Blood and Destroyers, a podcast all about AEW. Into general gaming news and commentary? Max Level is the podcast for you. Looking to commiserate about the darker side of pop culture? Join Frank on Terrible, a horrible, no good, very bad podcast. Finally, The Media Files, hosted by Kyle, is your one-stop shop for all of your pop culture needs. Check out all of RPG Era's offerings using the link in the show notes. Now, let's listen to some very good music. Greetings, gamers. I'm Bedroth.
I'm Shookapow.
And I'm ProfJeff.
And you're listening to... Wait, which episode is this? Oh, right, of course, it's episode 11.
VGM podcast.
Very good music.
Very You're listening to episode 11 of season 4 of Very Good Music.
A VGM podcast.
A VGM podcast.
That was a lot of fun.
You're supposed to say 4-11. So it's because it sounds really stilted, but it's just like the Mario intro screen, so it's okay.
Hey, I'm down. I got the 411.
4-11.
4 yeah. That's gonna be fun. All right.
So are we gonna do it again, or are we?
Oh no, we're not gonna do it again. No, I'm keeping that.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. And if it wasn't super clear from that intro, or from like the title of the episode, or from the fact that I've been talking about it now for a few weeks, we're here with ProfJeff.
Hey.
And we're going to be talking about who, Shookapow?
Very good. Grant Kirkhope.
Very Grant Kirkhope.
Grant Kirkhope, a VGM podcast.
That's the spin-off series.
Yep. Hosted by Shookapow, published and produced by Shookapow. As soon as Shookapow knows how to do all this.
Yeah. It's going to be like part of my YouTube channel or something.
So yeah, Grant Kirkhope is super well known in VGM circles, and for good reason. He is not only a really seemingly cool guy, but also composer of what, Shookapow?
Very good music.
That's right. Starting with things that some of you may have heard of. He worked on a little game called GoldenEye for the N64, which it was before y'all's time, but whatever. I guess you were what, like 6?
I was old enough.
Yeah, you were old enough.
I played it at my friend Ozzy's place.
Okay, cool. His first one, actually, he apparently performed guitar and trumpet on Killer Instinct 2. So,
yeah, trumpet.
Yay, trumpet. His first composition, mostly arrangement, some composition work, was on Donkey Kong Land 2, where he converted David Wise's soundtrack for Donkey Kong Country 2 to the Game Boy, which is a feat in and of itself. That's been discussed on a couple of different podcasts, and that is the thing. Grant has been interviewed on so many podcasts now. He's very gracious and generous with his time. He sounds really cool when you listen to him. So we're not going to talk as much about his life and his awards and all that stuff as we go. We're going to focus in on the music, but I am a big fan of Grant as a person, just from the interviews I've heard and from everything I've seen on Twitter. Seems like a really cool guy. I did actually reach out to him about the possibility of an interview, and right now he is just too busy. He has a lot of things going on. Not least of which is
Rabbids 2.
There you go. Something Shookapow is
still super cool that he got back to you at all, though.
He did, yeah. He's actually really responsive.
Get it framed.
I think that actually Shookapow did a shout out to him on Twitter recently, and he responded to you, right?
Yep.
So he's a really, really cool guy, and very excited to be celebrating some of his music today. Jeff, talk to us a little bit about that opening track that you gave me.
Yeah, so that is the YouTube version of Hugo Junstrand's. I got it close. It starts with a J. First name Hugo, last name Junstrand, and it's a remix of the Banjo-Kazooie intro. And of course, the Banjo-Kazooie intro is the only way to open this. But I just found a really good cover that I thought captured some of the magic of the original.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to throw a little bit of a curveball to you guys.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, everybody has heard the original Banjo-Kazooie intro, and usually on these I like to show the original work of the composer, but I think in this case, for a song like that, and so much of what makes Grant such a cool figure in VGM podcasting, or in the VGM scene, is that so many people cover his work, especially with the work from Banjo-Kazooie, that has really taken on a life of its own. You've actually got a Banjo-Kazooie cover or two, don't you, Superpower?
I don't think so.
Really? I feel like you had at least one. You've done something Kirkhopian, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. NC Chrono on bass sounded very Kirkhopian.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I just imagined it being full of Klungos.
So a link to this remix will be in the show notes, as we always do when we feature those kinds of things. And actually, the very next thing I see on Kirkhope's playlist after Donkey Kong Land 2 and before GoldenEye is a little something called Project Dream. And I feel like I may have heard something about this before, but if I'm looking at the list right, I think you actually have a track from this little project on the list, Jeff.
Yeah.
So, what is Project Dream?
Project Dream is the working title of the SNES game from Rare about a boy who is on an island, and it might have been blobs, I'm not sure. But they're definitely pirates, and so it's a sort of Easter egg. I think in Jolly Roger Bay in the second game, you meet Captain Jolly Roger, and he says, "Oh, I had dreams once," and it's a reference to Project Dream. And so it was an SNES game. It looked kind of okay. It seemed to have that kind of Donkey Kong Country-like art style, but more of a top-down RPG. The main character actually reminded me a bit of Chrono.
Okay.
But then, so it didn't get made, and then a lot of the concepts were reused for Banjo-Kazooie. And so, in practice, the entire original soundtrack for SNES has been archived online. So in addition to the masterpiece that is Banjo-Kazooie, you can see from the sort of archival footage that Grant Kirkhope composed Banjo-Kazooie, but he did it twice. And so you can listen to Banjo-Kazooie before Banjo-Kazooie. It's still awesome. And so for the first track, we have Treasure Trove Cove, but not that one, from Project Dream. And that was Treasure Trove Cove from Project Dream.
That was really, really cool. Those were some very nice instruments for SNES. I quite enjoyed that. Chukabao, how does that compare to the Treasure Trove Cove that you're familiar with?
It was definitely a little more like sort of slow and subdued
Okay.
compared to the the original.
Thank you for that, because I forgot what the original. I always think of the banjo. I always think of the Gruntilda layer version of the themes.
Oh,
That just
gotcha.
changes the instrumentation, but doesn't actually change the song.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just thinking of the organ and the sort of piratey version of Grunty's layer. I wasn't thinking of that actual Treasure Trove Cove song.
So are there any actual betas out there of Project Dream the game, or did it never even make it that far in development?
I think there is. I actually don't know. Probably not very far. I know. I think there's like just character models.
Okay.
I don't think there's any actual betas, unless it's like a guy just like walking through a jungle.
Yeah. And I don't know if this particular track is going to be on my playlist. I may have time to get this scanned up onto YouTube and actually add it to the playlist for it. But if I do, I will add the screenshot that I saw on the whole soundtrack video I could find that does, it looks like, have a skin of, or a render of just the boy from the game. So, but this looks really cool, and it's really cool to get a picture of Kirkhope's early composing life. All the biographies I found of him talk about influences, including jazz people and lounge people like Frank Sinatra and Glenn Miller. But I feel like you can't listen to, especially some of his later stuff, and not hear the influence of Danny Elfman, the film composer, on his work.
Interesting.
The guy from like Batman and Beetlejuice and The Nightmare Before Christmas and all that stuff.
Oh, okay, I think I'm going to get into that a bit later with one of my picks.
I think so a little bit too. And I know that both you and I think, had Grab by the Ghoulies on our short list. That one definitely has some Nightmare Before Christmas vibes to it. And there are just a whole lot of games that didn't quite make the cut. But I think before we get into any of that, and before we get to my first track, we're going to move on to the N64 with possibly Kirkhope's most famous work. And if I were going to pick anything from Banjo-Kazooie, Chukapau, what do you think I would pick?
Throwing a Blank.
Yeah. So my favorite track from Banjo-Kazooie is Click Clock Wood, specifically the spring version. It's just so happy and so bouncy. I love it so much. And I like all three official versions of Click Clock Wood, but the spring version is the one that I love best. As far as I can find, there are officially only spring, summer, and winter. I don't think there's an actual fall version of Click Clock Wood. I do think there's a fan version out there.
My life is a lie.
And if I'm wrong, please, somebody at me. I don't get at it enough. So, Chukabao, what are you bringing from Banjo-Kazooie, since you're actually representing this soundtrack on the playlist today?
I am going to be playing Gobi's Valley from Banjo-Kazooie.
Gobi's Valley. All right, well, let's get into it.
And that was Gobi's Valley from Banjo-Kazooie, released in 97?
98?
98.
Close.
I was close.
I was thinking
98 was my second guess. And, of course, developed by Rare.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Composed by Grant Kirkhope.
Yes, as is everything else on the playlist today.
I'm very smart.
Good stuff. This is not only classic Kirkhope, this is like classic desert music. I feel like whenever they get into desert music, they get into that sort of Arabian mode and the Egyptian style. Yeah. But good stuff. Now, I've heard you talk a lot about different Grant Kirkhope Banjo-Kazooie soundtracks, or tracks. I've never heard you talk about this one.
I really like it.
Yep.
I like desert themes in general. They're really good.
We'll have to do a desert showcase sometime.
I heard you talk about this once because we were talking about Smash remixes, and we both agreed that the Gobi's Valley Smash remix wasn't quite as good as I think it was like the Monster Mansion one that was really
That one's
good.
great.
Oh yeah, Mad Monster Mansion. You played that on the VG International episode, Mad Monster Mansion.
Yeah.
Which was really cool because it was, I think there was a Japanese arranger that was pretty well known arranging Kirkhope, who of course is Scottish, so Scottish American now. Yeah, we got him now. And well, this was really, really cool. And speaking of, I've been meaning to talk to you about this. We might as well talk about it on the show. I know that we had talked about doing another showcase next fall. I think that you had talked about systems we're going to do next time, like consoles.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I mean, we've got all kinds of different things. We have different consoles, different areas, different game series, actual specific games. But I like the idea of doing consoles because it's maybe I can actually do some research and get into the specs. Do you want to go back in the spring to doing just like random episode topics and then just do the showcases in the fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's nice to be able to do just kind of a random thing every now and then.
It would be good for us to get into the specs because we're all wearing glasses.
So
You're very entertaining. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think so too. That's why he's my best buddy. Aw. Well, before I start tearing up, we're going to get into the next track of the evening, which I believe is also coming from you, Shukapal.
Oh, yeah. DK64?
Yes, DK64.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, it's okay. I was thinking Macho Man. Okay. There we go. I was getting my Macho Man and my DK mixed up, which is, I think you will forgive me for that.
Oh, man. This game, it's polarizing. I actually heard somebody say recently, I think it might have been Daryl from VGM Fight Club.
Saying it's polarizing implies that some people like it.
Daryl loves this game. Daryl, please forgive me if you're not the one I'm actually talking about, but I think it was Daryl on a recent episode said that he feels like this is the ultimate collect-a-thon because there's so much content, there's so much stuff to do, all the characters have so much personality and different things they can do, there's more playable characters. But from what I've heard from other people, more is not necessarily better in this case.
Well, it's ultimate in the grammatical sense in that it's the last one because it killed the entire genre.
I mean, it did come back, but it took like 15, 20 years.
Ukulele kind of doesn't count.
Super Lucky Steel?
Conquer, though.
Oh, Conquer. Yep.
Yeah.
Can't forget about Conquer.
Conquer, I don't even know her.
Kirkhope, unfortunately, was not present on the Conquer soundtrack because it's a really, really good soundtrack. But, Chukabao, what are we going to be listening to from Donkey Kong 64?
I have brought to the episode Angry Aztec from
nice.
Donkey Kong 64. And that was Angry Aztec from Donkey Kong 64, released in 99?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, really? Just only...
And
Just a year later. Yeah.
composed by Grant Kirkhope, developed by Rare.
Donkey Kong 64. So you've actually got some personal experience with this game.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is something I was actually going to ask about in this episode. So last time I was on here, it was the superhero episode, post Marvel vs. Capcom. And so this one, I wanted to pick a topic that I know Shoot would be super into.
Yeah.
And so we could, all dig in together like old times. But what I'm super curious about is that I grew up with Banjo-Kazooie, and that I had it when I was like 5 years old. I guess 6 or 7 or 8. 7 or 8. But I really enjoyed it, and it was great. But I was wondering how you got into Grant Kirkhope, because you weren't the same age when Banjo-Kazooie came out, to put it delicately.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was through the podcast. You introduced me to Banjo-Kazooie music, and then Banjo dropped Smash, and what else? There was Mario with Rabbids.
Yeah, I feel like I was sharing video game music with you before the podcast started, and through some of that, you had kind of started getting into Kirkhope. And Mario plus Rabbids, let me see, we started the podcast in early 2020. Mario plus Rabbids came out in 2017, and I feel like we got it. We got the Switch that Christmas. I feel like we got Mario plus Rabbids a little bit like the following year. You had somehow become familiar with Banjo-Kazooie, maybe because I played you some stuff from one of my podcasts or other. And then when you found out that Grant Kirkhope composed Mario plus Rabbids, you really started getting into him. And so I think it might have been that game. And then, again, once the podcast started and Shoot Pow started being able to place like names with composers and stuff like that, and styles with composers, it really sort of blossomed from there. So this is the first I've ever heard you really talk about anything from Donkey Kong 64. Did you really kind of dig into it once you knew we were going to be doing this episode, or had you kind of picked up bits and pieces from just listening to Kirkhope stuff over the years?
Yeah, I'd pretty much just like, known a lot about stuff. I mean, of course, there's DK Rap.
DK Rap is, yeah, it's
track
infamous.
From Donkey Kong 64.
Yep.
I almost got the Melee mix of it, because each of the 5 Kongs is associated with an instrument, and the Melee version actually mixed the instruments into the rap, which is something that Grant Kirkhope didn't do in the original.
Yeah, that's the Melee mix of DK Rap is it's a really excellent version. I like Brental Floss's Where They Are Now sequel to the DK Rap. And so had you been familiar with Angry Aztec for a while, or did you kind of rediscover it when you were looking for music for this one?
I basically just looked up a desert theme because, I like desert themes.
That's really funny that this is a desert theme, because ProfJeff, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Tell us a little about the Aztecs.
Alright, so I especially know the Aztecs because that heart-ripping scene from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is actually Aztec methodology. In India, human sacrifice is mostly unheard of, but if it did happen, it would either be strangulation or decapitation, but not heart-ripping. And so the Aztecs, they'd probably be mostly jungle. It would be their capital was Tenochtitlan in modern-day Mexico City.
Mm-hmm. Central America is definitely more known for jungles than for deserts.
Yeah, and also, it's also interesting because it's the third, so you have Mumbo's Mountain, which is more sort of like Polynesian, but has the same sort of sound. Mm-hmm. And then you have Mayhem Temple from Banjo-Tooie, and then this sort of continues. And I forgot, I don't really remember very much of Donkey Kong Worlds. I remember the final boxing fight with King K. Rool, which was super fun. There's like a galleon stage, Jungle Japes, which is the first one.
Yeah.
And then I think there's like Frantic Factory. But I totally don't remember this Aztec one, but I guess it happened. And then there's, I want to say Glitter Gulch. There's some sort of like mine stage that's different than the Banjo-Tooie one.
Okay. Well, and we know that the sort of tribal aspect of things with the masks came back with the Tikis and Donkey Kong Country Returns, which was composed, I want to say that one was David Wise. He might have just come back for Tropical Freeze. I don't know if he came back for the first one. But him kind of picking back up the torch. And how do you feel like, both of you, I guess, how do y'all feel like this sort of evolves from the Donkey Kong Country sound? Did y'all know that as well as to be able to compare the two, or?
I totally don't.
Yeah. For me, it was interesting. I only played a little bit of Donkey Kong 64 back in college, and I wasn't really a big fan of of 3D Donkey Kong. But the music I've always thought was really cool, even though it is pretty different. And so it was really cool for me eventually when in Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, when Grant Kirkhope, that's the second time we messed up his name.
Yeah.
When Grant Kirkhope and David Wise teamed up on that soundtrack. Grandma Kirkhope. That was really cool to be able to hear both of their styles on the same game. So we did skip GoldenEye 007. I'm going to talk about why in just a second. We're also going to kind of piggyback over Banjo-Tooie because it's a really great soundtrack. I feel like it's really similar to Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64. I will mention that from what I remember from interviews, Kirkhope was at the same time working on the soundtracks to Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo-Tooie, and then he ended up taking over on the soundtrack to Perfect Dark because Graham Norgate was getting involved in Killer Instinct or some follow-up game. And so he was basically working on all three of these at the same time. And Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo-Tooie make a little bit of sense because they're in the same musical wheelhouse. Perfect Dark is a totally different animal. And I feel like Perfect Dark is one of the first examples when Kirkhope was really getting to explore a different musical side to himself. He did it a little bit in GoldenEye, but GoldenEye was so married to the James Bond themes. Kirkhope actually also has mentioned that he listened to James Bond music almost nonstop while he was working on the GoldenEye soundtrack. And so I decided to play something from Golden Dark over
Perfect Dark
over GoldenEye because it's similar kind of musical area, but it's more Kirkhope-esque, like it's more of his original style. And so there's a lot. This is an extensive soundtrack, and it's a really good soundtrack. So as I have often done on these episodes, I'm going to encourage you all to go seek it out. But I'm going to be playing kind of a slower tune since we've been coming off of this Banjo-Kazooie stuff. And we're going to listen to a track called Chicago Stealth. This one is a little bit longer. It's only about 4 minutes, but it's longer than we usually go. It goes a couple of different places, so we are going to listen to pretty much the whole thing. But once again, from Perfect Dark, this is Chicago Stealth. That was Chicago Stealth from Perfect Dark. Developed by Rare, once again, and composed, of course, by Grant Kirkhope, along with Graham Norgate and David Klinick, a couple of other Rare stalwarts. And, yeah, so different kind of change of pace here going on, different musical stylings. And, Jeff, you said you have not played Perfect Dark.
I have not. I played GoldenEye for like 5 minutes at a friend's house and didn't really enjoy it.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I played GoldenEye quite a bit when I was a teenager. It was, it was the thing, and I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed the solo mission. I have never been good at competitive first-person shooters, just not at all. I'm horrible. Even when I used to use my old dial-up to play Doom with my friends on their modems, I was not good.
It's funny because the dial-up sound kind of sounds like Doom music.
Oh, burn.
Oh, man.
But this was, this game, by all accounts, is a really, really good one. It's one I would like to check into, even though I'm not great at first-person shooters. The story apparently is really, really good. If you would like to hear more about Perfect Dark and Grant's relationship with it, XVGM Radio did an interview with Grant, and they talked about the whole soundtrack, basically. And the host of that, Mike Levy, is a really, really big fan of Perfect Dark and of Joanna Dark, the title character, the titular character, as it were. And but I just really wanted to share this. There are quite a few tracks that were sort of on my short list from this game, but this one was really, really cool.
I had one too. It was, I think, Area 51 Assault or Covert Assault.
Oh, yeah.
Or Alien Institute Secret Organization Infiltration Assault.
Yeah, something like that. There's Air Force One Anti-Terrorism Initiative or something that is also on my list. Now, there are a couple of soundtracks on here where Kirkhope didn't compose but did perform live music. As I mentioned, one of his first gigs was performing live guitar and trumpet for Killer Instinct 2. He also performed live guitar for Blast Corp, a Rare joint from 1997. He performed live guitar later on for Star Fox Adventures in 2002 and for Conquer Live and Reloaded in 2005. But as I mentioned, 2003 he did Grab by the Ghoulies, which we almost played from. I also almost picked something from both Viva Pinata and the sequel, Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise, which he worked on with Steve Burke in 2006 and 2008, respectively. 2008 also saw the return of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which we won't say anything else about. And
although the music is actually not horrible, I was very close to picking some for this episode.
In this one, he teamed again with David Klinick from Perfect Dark, and also with Robin Beanland, who I believe was the composer for Conker's Bad Fur Day. So, yeah, not bad music. I've heard some stuff in it. I just haven't heard anything good at all about the game. They went in a completely different direction than what anybody expected or wanted.
Yeah, the wheels kind of fell off.
Nice. But that does bring us to the next soundtrack we are going to be playing something from. Along with a composer named Mark Cromer, in 2012, Grant Kirkhope composed for 3 games. One of them is Fat Cat, with an exclamation mark, in which I didn't find anything great for. Another one is Cityville 2, which I believe was a mobile game. Didn't hear anything really outstanding from that. It's mostly ambient, nice-sounding stuff. He also composed for a game called Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. And, Jeff, you're going to be bringing something from this game.
Yeah, I mean, call back to an older show joke. I keep thinking of Kingdoms of Amalur, the Reckoning. Because we had this whole discussion about Reckoning. It was the platformer episode.
It was, yeah, which, believe it or not, this is the 3rd episode that you've been on this calendar year.
Huh.
Because of the weird way I was doing my seasons. We did that back in January, the platformer episode. And,
man, January 2021. Those interesting times.
It was. Seems like a lifetime ago.
Yes, Kingdoms of Amalur, the Reckoning. And it's a good soundtrack. There's a number of great songs. It has a very sort of uniform sound to it, sort of in the same way that a lot of film soundtracks do. Mm-hmm. And so I picked the song Fight. Possibly with an exclamation mark, I'm not sure.
This was actually around the time that Kirkhope was starting to get involved in film. It was a couple of years before, but so he very well may have been sort of stretching his muscles to get ready for that. But all right, so we're going to listen to Fight from Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
And that was Fight! Exclamation mark from Kingdoms of Amalur, The Reckoning, composed by Grant Kirkhope. Again.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. I'm glad that you picked something like this, because I had a couple of other things on my list, and then when I remembered that you picked something from this game, I felt like I could sub them out. So, really cool stuff. Shows yet another side of Kirkhope that we haven't seen yet up to this point. Chukuba, what did you think of this one?
That was very good music.
What did this make you think of, if anything?
It actually kind of made me think of some Mario plus Rabbids stuff.
Okay.
Like, probably the Lava Forge battle theme.
Okay. Does it sound like anything that you might have played in band?
No.
I guess that's more, you play more like classical type stuff, and this is more cinematic. But
we played a pretty cinematic piece like last year.
This is really cool. It doesn't sound like Lord of the Rings. It's not really Howard Shore style. It's a little bit closer to John Williams style, with all the like descending woodwinds and stuff like that.
Speaking of John Williams, we're actually playing Home Alone collections piece in band this year.
Oh yeah, for Christmas. And that's why you wanted to watch Home Alone and then Home Alone 2 recently.
Yeah. We've never seen Home Alone 2.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, all right. More of the first one. It's not. That's before it went off the rails completely and ditched Kevin and the Wet Bandits. So.
Yeah.
But to get back to this, how did you find this soundtrack and this game?
I was just looking at, actually I think from Grant Kirkhope's Spotify,
okay.
But also I think Grant Kirk, oh, it's like a tongue twister.
It is.
Grant Kirkhope actually has a playlist of his favorite tracks, or he has a sort of top of his own compositions on Spotify.
I would totally do
that. It's a playlist on his website. I saw that too.
I think Amalur might have been on there. Otherwise, there's just Wikipedia and Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning, Re-Reckoning, which is what I was making the sort of risque joke about last time, 2 times ago, in January. I was thinking of Re-Reckoning because Re-Reckoning had just come out. I think it seems to use the same music. I think there was like DLC, either the first one or the second one. But I listened to it and it was super interesting. Bedroth mentioned Danny Elfman a while ago. Also Shirley Walker. Yeah, Shirley Walker, the composer for Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's so Batman-ish despite the fantasy setting.
It is.
And even the Descending Woodwinds, it makes me think of Nothing to Fear, which is episode 3, where Batman fights the Scarecrow, and that has that iconic scene where Batman says, "I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman."
Yeah.
And you have this really wonderful sort of Descending Woodwinds riff when he's on the dirigible, and it's like a hybrid, it's like a sort of extra dramatic reprise of the Batman theme, but you have also Scarecrow's theme, and you have this sort of flying dirigible, and it's just kind of make me fall in love with comics, and the world of fictional epic heroes, and sort of at the same time Banjo-Kazooie was doing the same thing.
Cool.
But yeah, so this song kind of, even though it's sort of unknown to me, it kind of hits a nerve, like in a good way. It's sort of a vibe with it, man.
I really like the dynamic we have going on this episode, because for me, Kirkhope is first and foremost, I mean, I know him because of the video game music podcast scene. I was a little bit older than the target demo for Banjo-Kazooie, I think, and so I missed that boat by a little bit. And I never really played a lot of this stuff in the middle. I did play GoldenEye, but that wasn't just Kirkhope, and it wasn't really, I don't feel like it was necessarily his style first and foremost. Chukupow grew up, in part at least, with Mario plus Rabbids. And so both of you have got some gameplay experience and some nostalgia connected to Kirkhope's music. And for me, it's the more recent nostalgia of having become part of this really cool community and associating the music with that and with the shows that I love. So I'm really enjoying hearing you talk about stuff from when you grew up, and just making me think of things like that. And you also mentioned, I have to talk about this because you mentioned the iconic line, of course, delivered by Kevin Conroy, the eternal voice of Batman. And there was a scene that Rob Paulson, famed voice actor, did on one of his shows where he interviewed the cast of the Justice League animated series.
Yeah.
And they did a cold reading of the council scene from Lord of the Rings. And Kevin Conroy read the lines for Boromir.
Huh.
And so you got to hear Batman say, "One does not simply walk into Mordor." And it was, you could see Phil Lamar, the voice of Green Lantern, in the back, and he just totally geeked out when Kevin Conroy said that line.
All right, you got to be posting that link.
Oh, yeah, I definitely, I will. I will share that link with you all.
Also, shout out to Phil Lamar. He was damn good.
Oh, he was.
The voice of Jon Stewart, Green Lantern.
And Phil Lamar is a fantastic voice actor. I could do a whole podcast about that whole scene. But yeah, Phil Lamar as Jon Stewart, Green Lantern is really phenomenal. Okay, well, we're going to get into a couple more of my tracks now. I say a couple more. Have I played anything yet? Oh, yeah, Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a couple more of my tracks. So we're getting into Kirkhope's sort of middle years that I do not know as much about from a gameplay perspective. As we move along a little bit, the following year, after Kingdoms of Amalur, he worked with Danny Baranowski of Crypto the Necrodancer fame, among others, on the soundtrack for Desktop Dungeons, which has got some really cool stuff in it. I did listen through to that. I had a couple of things on my short list, and I've referenced the short list now a couple of times. As a reminder, not only do we have playlists on YouTube for our episodes, but for this season, I am also going to be posting live the lists that we come up with for the songs that don't make it on the show. So if you want to listen to more from these composers, just go and check out the Very Good Music YouTube page. There are several things on there from Desktop Dungeons. He also remade the soundtrack to Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, which was composed by Shigenori Kamiya, and he contributed a few original compositions. I think we've actually played one of those on the show. That might have been
Hat in Time, maybe?
Last year on the Five Finger Fanfare episode. We played it's like a Big Apple song, Rolling Apple from Castle of Illusion.
Yes, that was it.
Yes, and that was an original Kirkhope piece. Sounds very Kirkhopian. And then the next year is when we're going to get caught up to the tracks I'm going to be playing. In 2014, among a couple of other games, Kirkhope composed for Yaiba, or Ninja Gaiden Z. This is yet another sort of departure in sound. There's some really, really interesting and kind of sparse music on this playlist. There's one called, I think it was called The Drums of War or something like that I almost played strictly percussion, and the percussionist in me that played all of those non-melodic ensembles back in college, I really enjoyed it. But in the end, I went with something that's it's a little bit more retro, actually, than anything we've heard. There are some elements of NES or Famicom music in this one, but it also definitely comes from the era that it is in. This is Shadow Soldier, once again from Yaiba, Ninja Gaiden Z. That was Shadow Soldier from Yaiba, Ninja Gaiden Z. Composed by, believe it or not, Grant Kirkhope. And a little bit of a misnomer. I said Famicom earlier. That was definitely more Mega Drive than Famicom. Way more Sega Genesis. There is another track fairly close to this one on the soundtrack that did sound more like NES, which is interesting because, or it's cool because, of course, Ninja Gaiden started on the NES. There was a Ninja Gaiden game on the Mega Drive, and so I feel like Kirkhope must have been calling back. I think so.
I think of Shinobi.
I might be thinking of Shinobi, but
yeah.
I feel like there was one on the Mega Drive. I could be wrong, though. But anyway, good stuff. What did y'all think of this track?
It was very good music.
How many times today have you said that?
I don't know.
So, partway through, you looked up and said, "This is Kirkhope." Wow. Why did you say that?
It doesn't... I don't know. It didn't really sound like Kirkhope to me.
I think that until the guitar came in, I wasn't as sure. He is on the record as having composed this whole soundtrack, though, and Kirkhope has this way about his music where I could feel like I had listened to it for a long time and not realize how long I've been listening to it. For this one, almost 6 minutes went by while we were listening, and I didn't realize it. So, you listeners did not hear a full 6 minutes of this, but yeah, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I thought it was. So So first of all, I love this because I love that sort of grindy. I love the more grainier Sega Genesis sound when it gets like kind of abrasive. It's almost like sort of dubstep or industrial, like Avant la Lettre, and it has that really sort of heavy, abrasive / musical sound like dubstep does, but sort of before that was cool. And it kind of reminded me of like a cross between a really sort of shredding metal Sega Genesis and that sort of that one video on YouTube where someone plays the Doom song with like a bunch of floppy drive readers.
Oh yeah.
And so I also thought it's great because it shows how even though Grant Kirkhope is typecast as the Bears Picnic guy,
yeah,
that he can still just do whatever he damn wants to.
Yep.
And that includes this.
That includes this, for sure. Yeah, this was very different. And I do need to read a little bit of what I saw on Wikipedia about this game. So, the Ninja Gaiden series, of course, is mostly connected to the character of Ryu Hayabusa. Well, Yaiba Kamikaze is a ninja master who was part of a clan that tested the abilities of its ninja by putting them up against a highly skilled mentor. And for years and years, Yaiba was the one who they had to fight. Well, eventually he gets bored with this and decides to kill the entire clan. And then he challenges Hayabusa, and Hayabusa kills him. Well, he is resuscitated by the leader of Forge Industries, a man named Alrico del Gonzo, and he turns him into a cyborg, purportedly to hunt down the source of an outbreak of a zombie infection, which Hayabusa is also trying to find the cause of, hence the Z in the title. And there's back and forth, but eventually, apparently, Del Gonzo's goal is to somehow transform into the embodiment of the Aztec god of the underworld.
Oh, so that would be not Tezcatli, but Mictlantecuhtli.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah, so we're back to Aztecs somehow, interestingly enough. But yeah, I thought this was... But it's a hack and slash Ninja Gaiden game, like the newer generation of Ninja Gaiden games.
People don't really like it, though.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's apparently... Yeah, let me see. It's sitting at a 43 on Metacritic. The highest score is a 50 for the Xbox 360 version, so yeah.
Yeah, people just didn't like it.
It seems to be the average score, about a 50, all the way down, so yeah. That's no fun. But music is pretty dang good, and I think, would really like this whole soundtrack. So
yeah, I listened to a bit of it, but I didn't find this track.
Yeah. This is number 59 on the list, and so
wow.
I got down pretty far. I had some kind of mind-numbing work that didn't require me to use my headphones at work this week, so I got to listen to a lot of Grant Kirkhope stuff. And man, there is some breadths in this. Continuing on to the next soundtrack on the list, in 2015, well, later in 2014, which was a busy year for Kirkhope, he composed Civilization Beyond Earth with Jeff Knorr, Michael Curran, and Griffin Cohen. And Knorr and Cohen returned for the sequel next year, Civilization Beyond Earth Rising Tide. Not sure if it's a sequel or an expansion, but either way, they returned, and Kirkhope returned with them. And both of these soundtracks are really good. There are a couple of different songs from, I think, both soundtracks on Kirkhope's Spotify list on his website that we talked about. And I actually did land on one of those songs from Civilization Beyond Earth Rising Tide. We are going to be listening to Fractal Aquilon. So that was Fractal Aquilon from
Mega Man X4.
from which I haven't played.
Yeah.
We talked about that recently. From Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth, A Rising Tide, which is a very long title for a game.
Wow, yeah.
But no, I haven't played any of the Civilization games. I'm assuming that in this one you go beyond Earth. And there may have something to do with some kind of ocean or other, since it's rising tide, unless that's a political metaphor. But regardless, this is I enjoyed this track. It's cinematic in a different way from the Kingdoms of Amalur track, because it sounds more like whoever composed the Chronicles of Narnia themes than Danny Elfman, which was like the other one. And I really, really enjoyed it, though. There was a track we played from... what's the fighting game series where they like use weapons? Siegfried is one of them. Soul Calibur. There's a track from Soul Calibur 6 that I played a while back that had that same sort of sound to it that I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, so what'd y'all think?
That was very good music.
It was... I didn't like it as much. Well, because it seemed more cinematic, and I don't like movies as much as I like video games.
You didn't complain when I talked during this one, like you did when I talked during the Ninja Gaiden one.
Well, I mean, then in the last, it made me think of the 21st Century Fox logo a little bit too.
Oh yeah, at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I think at least my compliment from the last track holds up, because I said that it's another way that Grant Kirkhope can avoid typecasting. Did any of it sound like Grant Kirkhope for you?
I think so, because I am also familiar with Kirkhope in Mario plus Rabbids, which has a real marriage of styles in it. I think it's actually the only game that we're going to have 2 tracks from today. Am I right, Shukapo?
I think so.
Yeah, because you have 2 tracks from...
Yeah.
So...
unless we count the blooper reel track.
Oh yeah, the blooper reel track. And also, I guess, the intro track, because you had Banjo-Kazooie main theme. Which
that's
kind of has to play. Yeah, it was a cover, and plus, like you said, can't play anything else for this episode. And we'll get to the blooper reel track here in just a minute, because I'm really excited to talk about that album as well. But now we're going to get to 2 said block of Mario plus Rabbids tracks, and you'll get to hear a little bit of what we're talking about as far as
I have no idea what's in here.
Evolved sound. It's really good stuff. And I did ask you not to bring anything that you know we've played on the podcast, so...
I brought some battle themes that I don't think we've played before.
Okay.
From Mario plus Rabbids.
Well, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and play them both, if that's cool with you.
All right.
We'll listen to both of them, and then we'll come back and talk about them. So, what 2 songs are we going to be listening to from Mario plus Rabbids?
I have brought to you today Hot Start, Cold Finish, and Spooky Skirmish. And that was Hot Start, Cold Finish, and Spooky Skirmish from Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Composed by Grant Kirkhope, developed by Nintendo and Ubisoft?
Yep.
And released in either 17 or 18.
2017. Yes.
Alright. 17 was my first guess.
Alright. ProfJeff, what did you think of this?
Yeah, I think of the two, I think Spooky Skirmish was a really great showcase of Grant Kirkhope's classic haunted house stages, which I think he always excels at for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
That and, of course, idyllic like Little Meadows.
Yeah.
But Hot Start, Cold Finish, just like my ex, that one reminded me... one of the things I really loved about that is it reminded me of Grunty's Lair, and that it seems like much more of a dynamic... Not because my ex was like Grunty, but because like it went a lot of places, and it seemed to have a very sort of dynamic trajectory as a song, but also seemed sort of stable. And so I actually really liked that one quite a bit.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. It was a little bit of a longer one too, but I'm going to let it play because it does have this sort of solid core of like what it wants to be. But around that, you get a lot of, like you said, dynamism, I think is a good word, and just really, really good. And I think it's a good sort of culmination of what we've heard from Kirkhope so far. It's got a cinematic quality to it, but it has all of the same charm and character from the early stuff. Shukapow, why did you decide to bring these two specifically?
Well, the first one because, like, the desert theme.
Oh, I had no idea.
It's sort of a desert theme.
At least maybe at the Hot Start.
Yeah, because the way World 2 works in Mario plus Rabbids is It's sort of like, I can't remember the lore behind it, but it's this combination of a desert and a tundra. It's like this snowy desert.
Interesting.
Like Free ZZ Peak.
Oh, did you know that?
But no, chilly mountain, flame spire, frostbite. It's Chilly Billy and Chilly Willy. It's not Free ZZ Peak. It's the one in Banjo-Tooie.
Okay.
Hailfire Peaks.
Hailfire Peaks. Okay.
And like what is it? Shiverburn Galaxy.
Okay, from Mario Galaxy. Yeah, two connections here.
Ooh.
Kirkhope is actually the first Western composer to work on Mario music. Even including the spin-offs like Mario Party, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, all that stuff.
Be real.
Yeah, Kirkhope is the first Western composer to compose music for Mario.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
pretty cool
Couldn't
stuff.
have happened to a nicer guy.
Yeah. And Shukapao is salty that Kirkhope was not chosen for the music for the new Mario movie that's coming out. Kirkhope himself has said, well, it's not me. I'm sad, but, I'm sure whoever it is going to do fine. It's, Illumination. It's fine. I feel like the whole movie is going to be just fine. I don't think it's going to be horrible. I don't think Chris Pratt is going to be horrible in it. I think it's going to be just fine.
I mean, I'm probably not going to watch it either way. So I'm sort of like the Cowboy Bebop. Like I think some of my family members were watching it, and I'm just like perfectly fine not watching the Cowboy live action remake, because if I want Cowboy Bebop, I'll watch the anime, and if I want more Cowboy Bebop after that, I'll watch the anime again and maybe read the manga. I'm going to leave that live action tomfoolery to other people.
We're gonna have a little bit of a blooper there. A blooper bleep. There we go, a blooper bleep. Yeah. So, wasn't there a movie too, Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah, there's also an animated movie. Super fun.
Cool. I have watched the first couple of episodes of Cowboy Bebop. I just need to sit down and binge it sometime. Maybe after I catch up on The Mandalorian.
The great thing is that you don't need to binge it. You can just like watch it iteratively.
Okay.
And then the movie is more like an interquel. It's just like a sort of lost episode that can slot in anywhere.
Cool. Nice. I like things that can slot in anywhere.
Yeah. All right. So hot start, cold finish.
And sometimes I forget that my 16-year-old child is in the room with me.
Yeah, and also Shukapao.
Oh, man. Have you turned 16 twice yet? I always forget your age.
Oh, you asked me this last time, and I told you to F off.
I did, and you did. Oh, man. All right, well, in that case, why don't we just go ahead and move to your next song on the list, because I did some looking, and yours actually comes before mine. So, we're going to be talking about, this is not technically a game song. It is still video game related. Tell us a little bit about what you're bringing next.
Yeah, so this is match 4 from Bringing Back GoldenEye. I would put it into the category of like a tribute song or like a sort of recomposition. So there was a movie, I forgot what it was, but there's one before Bringing Back GoldenEye, which didn't have Grant Kirkhope compose it, and then there was a special kickstarted sequel, and it was a sort of nerd fan film about bringing back GoldenEye, and it's called Bringing Back GoldenEye, but I think there was one before it that I forgot about, but this one, they're bringing back GoldenEye, and according to the track titles, it's on Grant Kirkhope's Spotify. According to the track titles, it seems like it's a bunch of nerdy guys who want to bring back GoldenEye, and they seem to have a tournament at the end. And this song is match 4, and I wanted to pick it because I wanted a sort of like updated sort of FPS sound from Grant Kirkhope, and something that many of you guys might not have heard of.
Yeah. Kirkhope has talked about this project a little bit on his Twitter recently, so I am glad to be able to feature something from it. And you said this was from the tournament part of the movie, and this is for match 4?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into it.
right, so that was match 4 from Bringing Back GoldenEye, the sequel to Check's Phone, Going for GoldenEye, composed by Grant Kirkhope.
Very cool. This definitely had some of that old GoldenEye sound to it, and especially in that sort of underlying synth. And I dug the sort of conga thing going on the top. This is fun stuff. Very nice. Had you listened to the whole thing all the way through on the Spotify?
Most of it. Yeah, I think I listened. I know I at least started all the tracks.
Okay.
And then I noticed that I really liked the tournament section, and then I just narrowed that down, and I really like this one, which I believe is the last of the 4 matches according to the soundtrack listing.
And like I said, Kirkhope has been talking about this project on his Twitter, so if you go back and look at some recent things from the last couple of months, I'm sure you can find links to the show and stuff like that. It looks fun, and he seemed to enjoy being a part of it. So, GoldenEye is sort of the golden goose of console first-person shooters. It is the one that popularized the genre for home console, and it is nostalgic for a whole lot of people. It was remade for the Wii to not much acclaim at all. It did come with a
GoldenEye Reforged.
It did come with a golden gun thing that you could slot your Wii remote into. I think that my brother-in-law actually has one of those, but other than that, there wasn't much to say for it. I did love this game though, and that's from somebody who wasn't even a James Bond fan at the time. It was really fun.
I mean, that was Pierce Brosnan though, so that's understandable.
I actually I saw GoldenEye the movie because of this game, and it was my first Bond movie, and so Brosnan kind of is my Bond for better or worse. Yeah.
This friendship is over.
But I've gone back and watched some of the older stuff with that that old guy from The Rock, and it was pretty good. But yeah, good stuff. And of course, Hugo has never seen a James Bond movie at all. So, but
Daniel Craig.
You have seen Iron Man. That's basically the same thing.
Yeah, especially the first one.
The first one was really enjoyed it.
Just don't.
First one was great.
The other 2 Iron Man movies suck. Yeah,
I don't know. The so we're watching Shukapow and Dusklight and I are watching the MCU movies, and just MCU. We are skipping the Incredible Hulk, and
Snyderverse.
We are. We shall not speak of it. And we also, unless I can find a cheap way to watch it, we're not going to watch Spider-Man: Homecoming. But even though I really did enjoy that one, I liked it a lot. But we're probably not going to watch that one, at least as part of the MCU. We did just get to Avengers, and we're about to move on to Thor: The Dark World, which I think for a lot of people, it's between Iron Man 2 and Thor: The Dark World as for which one is the low point of the series.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it.
I kind of like them both, but I'm easy when it comes to this stuff, and and since they don't have any frame of reference for it, I think they're going to be fine. Iron Man 2 was kind of boring, but it introduced some interesting enough stuff. I mean, Scarlett Johansson is always interesting, so. But that was match 4 for bringing back GoldenEye, and now we're going to go to my last track of the show, and this is one that I actually wondered if Shukapow was going to pick anything from, but then she did not. So this is from Minecraft Dungeons.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know Grant Kirkhope composed this.
This is from the Hidden Depths DLC, which Kirkhope did compose some stuff from.
Yeah.
And there are a few really cool things on this playlist. After going back and forth between a few of them, I decided to go with a track called Swashes. That was Swashes from the Hidden Depths DLC of Minecraft Dungeons. The game first came out in 2020. No. Yeah. The game came out in 2020, I believe. Hidden Depths DLC dropped in 2021. And this was developed by Mojang and published by Xbox Game Studios. Yeah. What'd y'all think of that?
That was very good music. Very creepy, very Kirkhopian.
Yeah.
I like how it was understated, but it still had a lot of complexity behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There's this point I really liked where it was just sort of the synths were climbing, but then in the background there's sort of faded out, you had this really intricate percussion line, and then there was a time where it was sort of revving up and you had this like sort of sludge of different sounds that were actually really intricately layered, and you had just like a tiny touch of vocals, and it really rewards careful listening. Sort of like the bird calls and the snakes in Gobi's Valley, which I noticed while we were listening to it.
Yeah, Kirkhope's use of just sound as part of his composition is really, really, really interesting to look at. Of course, you get that a lot in Banjo-Kazooie, but to hear it even now on like the Mario plus Rabbids and this one, it's really, really cool stuff. In recent years, Kirkhope has been sought out as a guest composer quite a bit. He was involved in Ukulele, which was the kickstarted, I believe, successor to Banjo-Kazooie and spiritual successor to
Attempted spiritual successor.
Attempted, which he composed along with David Wise and Steve Burke. Then also in 2017, he was a guest composer on the 3D Collectathon A Hat in Time, which was good, better than Ukulele by all accounts.
It actually reminds me quite a bit of Psychonauts.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and arguably, A Hat in Time might be a better Psychonauts sequel than Psychonauts 2.
Wow. I know the music is really good. It is out on the Switch, and I think they patched all the bugs, so we might just have to get that. I feel like it would be a good one for the twins to play.
New multiplayer DLC coming out, too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely. That's going to be on the watch list then. Chukapow, remember that. Also was a guest composer on the game Tangle Deep, and then that was followed up a couple of years later in 2019 with Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, which is apparently a much better spiritual successor to Donkey Kong Country than Ukulele was to Banjo-Kazooie.
I still think the character designs are kind of ugly.
Well, this one was also composed by Kirkhope along with David Wise and a couple of other dudes, Dan Murdoch and Matt Griffin. And again, soundtrack, really good stuff. Also, in 2019, Kirkhope finally got his chance to add to Super Smash Bros. With what arrangement, Chukapow?
Spiral Mountain.
Kirkhope arranged his own composition, Spiral Mountain, for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in 2019.
Which, actually, RJ and I played a match on Spiral Mountain today, and he picked that as some music.
Cool. Good deal. Would either of you play as Banjo and Kazooie?
No, I think it was just a normal Lucina versus
wasted opportunity.
I always enjoy. So can I go on a tangent real quick?
Sure, yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie is the best goddamn fighter in Smash Brothers. Well, it's just I've wanted Banjo-Kazooie ever since. Of course, the original Super Smash Bros. Was for N64 alongside Banjo-Kazooie. I think Banjo-Kazooie is a slightly older game. But, they've always been, like, right next to each other, and, Banjo-Kazooie is a dynamic character, and so not only did I get my dream Smash Brothers character, which is something that not everyone can really rely upon, but the other thing is that, not only that, but Banjo-Kazooie is also a great character to play as. I mean, they also, we have our mutual friend Zach, who I've been friends with since 3rd grade, and I really clean house on him with the Wonder Wing ability. It's really great.
The Wonder Wing, Banjo-Kazooie was one of the first times I was actually able to beat Chukapow when he picked Hero, back when he was maining Hero, she was maining Hero, and the Wonder Wing was a lot of that, because I could just plow through a lot of the spells that she would rely on.
You just gotta plow with a hot start and a cold finish.
That's right.
I personally am not a big fan of Banjo. Like, it's really cool that
the characters in Smash. Okay. Are you talking about the character or like the play style of the character?
The play style.
Oh yeah. Chukabao likes Banjo-Kazooie just fine as characters, but the playstyle.
Didn't their old games recently get ported to Wii?
No. There's talk about them coming to the Switch in the recent expansion to their online service.
Right. I play Steam, so I forget what Nintendo plays.
Yeah. So. Yeah, N64 online, which costs like $30 more than the regular online,
and isn't very good according to everyone.
There's a lot of complaint about it. So we don't have it yet. Maybe by the time they add Banjo-Kazooie,
but isn't it like subscription too? So you don't just like pay $30 once.
Yeah, it's $30 a year. So
I'm making a face right now. Seriously, get Toys for Bob on the phone. Give us a remake, port it. Give us some Microsoft Rare love. They can do one good thing in their lives and give us like Banjo-Kazooie remixed on Steam.
Yeah.
Plus Tui, just make it a duology.
Yeah, I mean, just get them both on there. Even if you throw on Donkey Kong 64, let's just get a Rare 3D Collectathons remake.
Even if sacrifices have to be made.
Yeah, come on. I mean, we could always sacrifice. Was it Chunky Kong?
Oh yeah, Chunky Kong.
Chunky, he's dead.
Yeah, he actually. So there was actually a scandal while I was looking through Kirkhope's compositions on YouTube. Is that I'm not sure what, but there was a controversy between Melee and Brawl that they cut up the DK rap, and so like the Melee DK rap has all 5 Kongs, and they do crazy things with the voices and the instrumentation in all of them, but they do keep the Kong instruments, so it's the saxophone, the trombone, the electric guitar, the triangle, and one of the bongos.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I think for Brawl, they cut the rap in half, and so, like, a few of the Kongs, it's just like, screw off.
Wow. Huh.
And all YouTube comments were super angry about it.
Well, that's where you go when you want angry comments, is YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, after Smash Ultimate, actually still in 2019, busy year for him, he composed on Interstellar Space Genesis, which I think was actually a Genesis game that was released in 2019. That he composed along with Ryan McQuinn. I believe so. I think this was a game that was developed specifically as a late model Genesis game, with that style and the ability to be played on Genesis hardware.
You might have to fact check that when we do the next song.
I might need to. I will do that.
Because I know that there are games like that, but I don't think that's one
You don't think this was one of them?
I mean, we could maybe put some money on it so there's repercussions if one of us gets it wrong.
Ooh. Well, whoever gets it wrong will buy the next drink.
Okay.
All right. So, also the same year, he was credited with special thanks on Cadence of Hyrule, composed by his Desktop Dungeons co-composer, Danny Baranowski. Arranged, I guess, for the most part. But 2020, did not know this. He contributed, I didn't know this until I looked into it, and then the track I found was pretty okay, but not as good as some of the other cinematic stuff we played. 2020, he contributed to World of Warcraft Shadowlands, along with the other Warcraft composers, so really, really cool there. As I just mentioned, he was a guest composer on Minecraft Dungeons this year in 2021, and he is currently working on Hex Heroes, which looks interesting. It's to be announced, not out yet, but it's an unreleased. It's apparently coming to release, but it was originally being developed for Windows, Linux, and the Wii U. It's a party real-time strategy game. So, working on that one, apparently. Either that or it's TBA because it was never released, and so they're just listing it here at the end of the list. But also, working on what, Shukapow?
Very good music.
For the game Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is set to come out in 2022. Oh, man. All right. And as I mentioned, he has also been working on some film lately. Most recently, Let's Bring Back GoldenEye, which we heard something from. And he is also doing some, a little bit of self-published releases lately, one of which we're going to talk about a little bit now, because the last song of the show, which is your last song, ProfJeff, comes from one of these self-released albums. Why don't you talk a little bit about what our last track is going to be? Yeah,
this is from Rejected, which is one of Grant Kirkhope's more cryptically worded tracks or albums on Spotify, on Bandcamp. That's
Bandcamp.
what it is. There's one that's the game that never happened and doesn't exist, or something like that. And then Rejected is another thing, which was a secret project that was rejected. And there's a number, we don't actually know what it is. The tracks, so 2 other tracks that are really great. There's Frogs for Friends, which I really love, and also one called Wasteland, which also had really great percussion work. But this one is Zombies in the Snow. And there's also How to Train Your Scotsman. And so from those titles, like, we don't know what's going on there. But yeah, this is Zombies in the Snow from Rejected.
I might have a little fact-checking of my own for you. So let's listen to the song and get to some fact-checking.
So, that was Zombies in the Snow by Grant Kirkhope for Rejected.
Jugabout, what did you think of that song?
That was pretty good.
Pretty good? That was a banger, man.
Yeah, it was. It was a little repetitive.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, you're not supposed to focus on the music as much as running from the zombies.
Yeah, that's true.
So, it doesn't say anything about this on Bandcamp, and you don't have Twitter, which is why you didn't know this, but this is actually an album of Kirkhope's rejected music.
Yeah. Oh, so it's not from one project.
Right. It's songs he's composed for several different projects, and that just for whatever reason wasn't picked up.
Okay, I thought it was all songs composed for one particular project that
was rejected. Okay.
So
nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So now it's multiple. Okay.
So now it makes a little more sense why all these different things are there, and there's not really an apparent through line. Although,
I mean, someone could still program it.
Oh, they totally could. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But this was really cool. I enjoyed it. So you were wrong about that thing, which you had a good excuse for. I did not have a good excuse because I was just assuming and not checking myself. But why don't you lift the veil on my whole talking about that supposed Genesis game?
Yeah, Interstellar Space, Genesis. Side note, Yahtzee from The Escapist, one of my favorite vloggers, has this thing where he pronounces all colons in game titles with a drive heave. So it's Interstellar Space Genesis. I can't dry heat really well because this is a really nice table and carpet, and I just don't want to.
Don't take
But yeah, so Interstellar Space Genesis is Genesis. It sounds like something you do in the bathroom. But
it's like a really good enema. Genesis. Okay.
Yeah, you give it to your Fractal Aquilon.
How many times are we going to start this and not finish it and keep our listeners in such suspense?
Right. So, Interstellar Space Genesis.
Wait, are you pronouncing a space and a colon, or is it interstellar and then the word space and then a colon?
No, it's Interstellar Space Genesis.
Cool.
Because outer space.
Yeah.
The outer is silent. Interstellar Space Genesis is just the game with the subtitle Genesis as one of those generic subtitles that people put on when their game needs a subtitle, but no one actually wants to think of it, alongside like Reckoning, Revenge, Vanguard, etc.
It was not actually developed for Genesis.
Yeah,
and
it's
aptly named.
It's just beginning stuff.
And it wasn't even creatively misspelled like they did with Terminator.
And, I mean, one thing that could have tipped us off is the way the music sounds, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, good. I didn't actually listen to the music from that one, so...
Yeah.
But, man, this was a cool way to end the episode with a sort of true hidden gem, because it wasn't even released until this year when Kirkhope dropped Rejected, so...
Yeah. I liked it. I'm actually really glad that this is our last one, because... I was talking about Grant Kirkhope being typecast as the sort of whimsical guy, and this kind of combines the sort of Grabbed by the Ghoulies Mad Monster Mansion style of composition with the sort of Freeze Easy Peak style of composition,
mm-hmm.
that he can still just do the same damn thing he's done since the 90s and still make it new and exciting and memorable and enjoyable.
And I'm just now realizing that our last three tracks were slightly out of order, because Rejected was released in October of 2020, and it was the GoldenEye theme that was from 2021. So technically we should have flip-flopped your last ones, but I am also glad that this was the last track. So.
Synchronicity.
My favorite city. All right.
Well, we needed that cold finish, too.
We did need that cold finish. You're right.
Hot start, cold finish in the snow.
Okay. So yeah, this has been episode 4-11 with ProfJeff, and I am subtitling this episode A Rare Talent. Episode 4-11, Grant Kirkhope, A Rare Talent.
I'm getting him side-eye, you can't see it on the mic.
Get it, Hugo? A Rare Talent? Because an Ubisoft talent doesn't make sense.
I guess if you put up with all my horrible jokes, I guess I kind of owe you.
Well, technically, I owe you a drink now, so I guess we're even.
Yeah, well, you also have to put another disclaimer on this episode because I'm on it.
That's true, but people are used to it by now.
Yeah, I know, it's a tradition.
Every 11th episode, lock up your kids.
Whoa!
Hold on a minute.
Shukapow, you're excused.
Whoa, that came out wrong.
That did. So let's just blow right on past that. And this has been fun. Shukapow. Say all the stuff we say at the end of episodes.
Listening to very good music.
I thought you weren't old enough to drink.
Where can people find you?
I'm high on Pokemon.
Oh.
Banjo-Kazooie for Smash at itch.io.
That is the dream, right? The project dream. So yeah, where can our listeners find you?
On flat.io at Lloyd Irving for Smash.
Who? Sorry, Lloyd Irving for Smash.
I mean, Shoot also has a laptop over there. If she threw it, it might hurt.
It might. Probably hurt her more than me because she loves that laptop.
Yeah,
I love the DSi. I don't like the laptop.
Yeah, the DSi would probably survive if you threw it in my head, but still don't.
Very true.
I thought you had some sort of self-preservation instinct that prevented you from saying stuff like that. I'm too tired to think of clever stuff. And man, it's only 9:30.
Yeah. So yeah, Shukapow. You can also find on Twitter at Shukapow.
Yes.
You can find our podcast on Twitter at VGMPod. You cannot find ProfJeff on Twitter because he is a sane person, at least in that regard. And you can also find us on YouTube and Spotify and all that stuff. Plus, we have a Discord. ProfJeff is there. Come and talk to us. Link is in the show notes. Well, not Link from Zelda, but the link to our Discord is in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because Kirkhope is not composed any Zelda stuff yet. Yeah. But this has been a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed this.
Thumbs up, but you can't see it on the mic.
Yeah, so if you want to see a thumbs up, you can click that like button on the YouTube video.
Yeah, you did the YouTuber thing.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth, I like that.
And now it's time to talk about a sponsor again, Raid Shadow Legends.
We could do a Raid Shadow Legends episode, or a sponsor,
Oh my gosh, Raid Shadow Legends video game. We play music in Raid Shadow Legends.
I mean...
Maybe they would sponsor us.
Yeah, well, it just looks... I mean, it just looks like it's too much crap for me to have on my phone. Like, I think it looks pretty, but, it looks too pretty for a phone game.
Yeah. Maybe if they port it to Switch, except you don't have a Switch. Port it to Steam.
If I move closer to you guys, I'd get a Switch. It'd be super fun.
Well, hopefully you will, because I like having you around.
Yeah.
But I think we've gotten a little bit... we've gotten close enough into your personal life now, so let's back out a little bit. And what are we going to be playing for our blooper reel track?
Do we have an outro too?
The outro is going to be the theme song.
Oh, okay.
One of our many versions of the theme song that Skeletor is now composed.
So the blooper reel is actually a vocal track starring actual Grant Kirkhope as Mumbo Jumbo.
Actual Grant Kirkhope.
And the song is Rain Dance, parentheses, Mumbo's Moment of Triumph from Project Dream.
Ooh, very cool. Kirkhope has also been the voice of Donkey Kong in several different properties.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Of course, now the voice of Donkey Kong is Seth Rogen, so...
Yeah.
And I have a special holiday surprise for everybody that we're going to play after the blooper reel. I think that anybody who is a fan of Kirkhope's and a follower on Twitter is going to know this, even if you're not a follower on Twitter. And before you hear it, Kirkhope is now vegan, but he does still endorse this song. So, hope everyone enjoys it and raises a glass along with us. But, we've talked a lot about what's coming up. Really quickly, next week is going to be our awesome episode with Rental Floss, which, so excited about. It was really, really a great conversation, and Chukapow actually said more than 5 words, and it's really, it's going to be cool. You guys are going to like it. It's going to be kind of a long one, so settle in. But then after that, taking a very short break because, let me see, the next episode is going to come out on...
I was about to say, check your notes for this one.
Oh no, not a break. Never mind. And then the following episode is going to come out 1 week later. We took a week off for Thanksgiving, but we are not taking a week off for Christmas, because on Christmas Day, we are bringing you the Mario Music Master himself, Koji Kondo, and we are going to be playing some wintry tracks. And tune in 6 days after that to hear our bonus episode 10, which will be the very best music from the podcast. Thank you, ProfJeff, for the episode name, for 2021. And super excited about it. There's going to be some really good stuff on there. Obviously, because all we play is what, Chukapow?
Very good music.
That's right. All right, everyone. I apparently need to get this kid in bed. So until next time, play very good games.
Be very good people.
And keep listening to
Very Good Music! Nice.
Yeah.
Chair Creek.
Yeah.
The the last track of the show, which is yours, ProfJeff, and also the blooper reel track are going to be coming from one of these albums. So why don't you talk a little bit about this last track we're going to be
blooper
playing?
reel track is actually from Project Dream.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I know this because I told you what it was.
Frogs for Friends?
No, that was we changed.
That was going to be the outro?
That was going to be the outro.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't work well as well as a blooper reel track.
Okay, all right. Cool. So, blooper reel track. I'll get that one then.
Yeah, well, it's on the Project Dream playlist, or like the sort of dump of Project Dream. It has its own time code.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Wee, blooper material. I'm gonna look up Interstellar Genesis.
Well, hold on. Let's go ahead and get into the song, and then we'll do that. So, we're gonna pause for a second because I feel like Shukapow might have another feed.
Oh, that's why Shoot's going into the bathroom while we're recording and leaving the door open.
Yep.
I was worried for a second.
Okay, Shoot.
Yeah. I just discovered that I never knew where you guys put toilet paper.
Oh, you had to find out where. Yeah. So yeah. For any visitors we ever have, if you run out of toilet paper in our master bathroom, it's in the cabinet above the toilet.
In-depth look into the household of Mr. and Mrs. Bedrock.
Blooper reel, does whatever blooper reel does. Iron Man, makes your clothes really wrinkle-free. All right. So.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah. I'm good and let Misty out.
Oh, I got it.
It's mine forever.
You had to really leave faster. I have that effect on people. Anyways,
Cats are people. And we're back from the I was trying to think of something really clever. I was trying to think of something clever. We're back from the homebrewed soundtrack to Shukapow's current playthrough of Pokemon White 2?
White
1. The white one.
That's not a game title. That's a bingo number.
Oh. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're bringing next? Yeah.
I haven't decided on... I might actually come up with a better idea than the Doctor episode when I get my doctoral doctorate. Just because it's going to be like... I've been in graduate school for 10 years, so I want to do a bunch of crazy stuff.
Well, we can either do a really crazy episode, it's like a wild grab bag, or wild card, or we could do doctors. There's a lot of fun doctors in video games.
But I mean, I still have like there's like the fighting game episode, which I don't think we did.
Nope.
And then there's, magical girls, waifus, giant robots, in like my old school list.
We should totally get you and Carlos in on the giant robots episode. That would be fun.
Carlos seems like such a cool dude.
He really does. I love him a lot. Maybe I could do another showdown episode, like you and him and giant robots. That'd be fun.
I will say, speaking of showdowns, I like how when Sora came out, and Daryl's comment was, "I'm just glad it's not someone from effing Fortnite." I'm thinking, you know what? We agree on that. I don't know. There's so many guest characters in Fortnite. I don't know what the actual Fortnite characters look like.
Daryl was so salty when Steve from Minecraft came out.
I thought that was actually a pretty good choice. I thought it was great.
I did too, but I think he's got like some sort of post-traumatic stress from Minecraft because he was living with a guy whose teenage son, that was literally all he did, like literally, except for get up and go to the bathroom sometimes and eat. And apparently he was not a very pleasant person, so now Daryl unfortunately has that association with Minecraft forever. That
does happen. It's like, there should be a word for it when you like hate something because you hate the people who like it.
Yeah, like disdain by association or something. Yeah. Yeah, so, y'all ready? By y'all, I mean you.
RJ and I were actually playing Steve Dittos earlier, and he commented on how weird it still is to Steve in Spanish.
Steve Dittos?
Like Steve or just Steve.
Mirror matches. That's what the old people call them.
Yeah, wow, you're calling them Dittos. Pokemon has taken over everything. I think you might need to scoot just a little bit closer.
It's not wise.
I mean, isn't that what happened in the wars, that Pokemon took over everything?
I suppose so, yeah.
Maybe.
Is that like Pokemon are to the Pokemon world what like money is to our world?
There was a canon Pokemon. There was a canon Pokemon war back in like
Oh god,
Kanto era.
that's terrifying.
Is that when they crossed over with what was it? Pokemon Conquest. What was that?
It wasn't in the games, but
So now I really want to know, like, a sort of...
there was also a war in Gen 6. There's this Legend of Big War, and also in Gen 8, I think.
What were you saying?
So I want to know about, like, how Pokemon deal with post-traumatic stress syndrome from, like, you know, having to kill their own kind at the behest of their overlords.
I mean, that happened in the very first movie. When Mewtwo took over.
Oh, yeah.
Made all the clones.
Pikachu cry.
Yep.
We have, like, a sort of crew of medics that are just crying Pikachus.
Pokemon Conquest was a crossover game between the Pokemon series and Nobunaga's Ambition.
Fight Digimon, you cowards. I wish Digimon had more stuff. There was, like, a sequel series, but nobody liked it.
I know that Digimon games have really great music. I've heard a lot of really good music in Digimon games.
There's one called Survive that's been in development forever that looks so good.
Yeah.
But it's a tactics RPG with Digimon, and I'm just all up in that.
Nice. All right.
Alright.
Greetings, gamers. I'm Bedroth.
So we're recording?
Yeah, we're recording.
Right.
I told you a minute ago, right before you started talking about J.K. Rowling.
That was a while ago. We talked about a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah, and it's only been 4 minutes and 30 seconds, actually, since I said that. It's interesting. Yeah, I've been recording this whole time to kind of see levels and stuff. And we're looking pretty good, so.
Evolved.
Frillish? What?
Yeah.
Do I remember? Can I look up how Frillish evolves?
Yeah.
I'm not doing this the whole show.
Did it to sea levels, yar.
How does Frillish evolve? They paralyze prey with stuff and okay, and evolution 5. Okay, come on. Evolution. No, it just shows the chart. Okay. Jellicent? What kind of name is Jellicent? Alright, so, Frillish, short tube. Come on. I'm sure this is really intriguing for Jeff.
I just like how the microphone has its, like, ominous little blue light. It's the soul of your last co-host who gave you lip.
Excuse me. Yep. I'm actually on my third Chukapow clone. Oh, man.
I wonder where the old one left off on the save file.
That's
why my memory's so bad.
That was the whole thing in Venture Brothers.
Nice.
And also Rick and Morty is kind of the premise for their series.
I've not watched either of those yet.
Well, Rick and Morty's better because it goes somewhere, and it's also more entertaining on an episode-to-episode basis. Venture Brothers doesn't go anywhere, and it's less entertaining per individual episode. However, it's cool to hate Rick and Morty because it's so popular.
Oh, yeah.
And it's cool to like Venture Brothers because it's not as popular.
I hear you.
So you gotta read the room on that.
I can't. Maybe I should search on Google. How to evolve Frillish. This is on Pokemon Sword and Shield. What are you playing?
I'm playing White. It should be the same level. I don't think they changed the evolution levels.
Okay, well. Frillish evolves in a Jellicent at level 40.
Oh, I'm actually like 2 levels away from it. Nice.
Can we start now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now I won't interrupt during the intro this time.
We drink our nog this time of year to usher in some festive cheer. We raise our glasses to the sky and hope that Santa's passing by. Noggers of the world, let's drink a glass or two. Forget about those calories and all that cholesterol too. So if you want to smile today, just drink a glass and shout, well hey, there's nothing like a sip or two to make you jolly through and through. Knock, 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 knock. There's knock for me and knock for you, and even knock for you know who. There's knock with booze and knock with none, so everyone can join the fun. Noggers of the world, we've waited all year long. It's time to fill our glasses and sing this silly song. So let's all get a nogging on, 'cause December will soon be gone, and then it just won't be the same, so nogging time is here again. Knock, knock, knock. And now we're here for verse 3, for this my nogging song of glee. The rhymes are getting harder now, I need Grunted to show me how. Noggers of the world, we've bonded in this song. I've tried to make it jolly and not drone on too long. So as we're getting to the end, I raise a glass to you, my friends. There's nothing left for me to do except wish you well, the noggin crew.